What was that about? Okay, that honestly creeps me out a little bit. Whoa. Yeah, even she's saying, what is that about? What? I got some goodies for you.
Imagine, if you will, a world in which everything you're exposed to is fake. A world in which you are nothing more than a puppet on a string. A world in which the reality you perceive is a mirage, nothing more than an intricate multi-dimensional facade. 35 years ago, John Carpenter created one of the most remarkable movies ever created on the subject of ideology, and the movie was completely ignored. However, They Live is arguably the most important movie ever made. Almost 4 decades from its release, its overarching message has never been as important or as poignant as it is today. They Live wasn't fiction, it was a prophecy. Roddy Piper, known as Nada in the film, is a disillusioned drifter who travels to Los Angeles in search of employment. There he befriends a construction worker named Frank and settles in a shantytown. As time passes, Nada becomes increasingly aware of suspicious activities taking place in the squatter settlement, with some inhabitants regularly congregating in a nearby church. However, following a violent police raid in the church, Nada decides to investigate what exactly is going on here. Shortly after discovering a cryptic message on the wall that reads, "They live, we sleep," Nada finds a pair of suspicious-looking sunglasses. While wandering the streets of LA, Nada decides to try on his newfound shades. This is when They Live really comes to life, and the protagonist's existence is met with an existential shift. The sunglasses, in a very literal sense, change Nada's perspective. They shatter his concept of reality. In addition to causing him to experience black and white vision and a headache, the shades also allow Nada to see the world in a brand new light. Advertisements now read "Obey." Magazines in a shop contain messages like "Do not question authority and consume," and even dollar bills bear the message "This is your God." Nada realizes that he, like almost every other human, is a slave to an all-pervading system. By wearing the glasses, Nada is able to see through the deception and uncover the true meaning behind everything. The lies, the deceit, the master plan to enslave humanity. Breaking free, Nada realizes, is the only option here, and Nada is utterly horrified when he sets his eyes upon a man sporting an elegant suit and an opulent-looking watch, only to be confronted with a repulsive, decomposing countenance. This is the epitome of they, the privileged class transformed into a hideous, alien-like species. They live by exploiting us, we are their fuel. They are parasites and we are their unsuspecting hosts. They are the self-appointed herders, and we are their subservient livestock. While they profit and plunder, we sleep, oblivious to the subliminal messages that we are being fed. Does this sound familiar? If not, it really should. We are constantly bombarded with advertisements with subliminal messaging, imploring us to purchase some product or believe in some ideology. However, the most effective—
By the way, this video is sponsored. No, I'm just kidding. If you guys haven't seen this creator before, he does a ton of different documentaries and little mini op-eds about various fringe topics and conspiracies. A few different conspiracies, but it's mostly morbid topics. As he alluded to, They Live and other movies like Idiocracy, they started out as entertainment, but many people insist that they are closer to documentaries than fictional entertainment.
Advertisements act in a subtle yet potent way. David Ogilvy, the father of modern day advertising, famously said, "A good advertisement is one which sells the product without drawing attention to itself," and the fact is not lost on the unscrupulous advertisers of today. On any given day, you're exposed to hundreds, if not thousands of different advertisements, which might seem like an absurdly high number until you realize almost every single post on social media is an advertisement. You might not notice them at a conscious level, but they notice you and they are affecting you. Subliminal messages can be found on TV, social media, in movies, music videos, and even kids' cartoons. These hidden signals are strategically inserted into advertising messages with the intention of influencing the subconscious behavior of the target audience. The use of such advertising tactics is often deemed unethical, and in certain cases, even prohibited by law. Nevertheless, the subliminal messages persist. Carpenter expertly satirizes the excessive commercialism of the 80s, emphasizing the control exerted by corporations over the masses. Although Carpenter was a visionary, he can never have dreamed of the world we're in today, where companies with more money and power than countries have plugged themselves into every aspect of your life. Then there's companies like Amazon, with a market value 4 times bigger than Austria's GDP. Much of this comes from tracking your online behavior, harvesting your data, then weaponizing this information obtained to target you, or use it in the Washington Post to sell you more garbage, to sell you more political ideologies, to keep the whole machine well-oiled. Humans' love for shopping is undeniable. However, have you ever actually asked yourself why this is the case? Or more specifically, who is actually responsible for our insatiable urge to shop until we drop? Well, a significant portion of our shopping behavior can be attributed to one man, Edward Bernays, the nephew of Sigmund Freud, the controversial psychologist who said all humans are driven by unconscious forces. Bernays was a pioneer in the fields of public relations and propaganda. He is widely recognized for introducing modern PR techniques, such as utilizing celebrities to endorse products, employing metaphors to sway public opinion, and using symbols to evoke emotions. And while these techniques may seem innocent, or even harmless at a first glance, their purpose was to manipulate individuals into purchasing unnecessary or unwanted items. As is clear to see, Bernays' master plan works splendidly. For him, that is, not us. This festive season, nearly 40% of Americans will go into debt to pay for presents and other holiday-related expenses. At the same time, many of these people have zero emergency savings, nothing, not 1 cent, just another hamster on the wheel. And Bernays believed that he could convince people to buy products based on emotions rather than practicality. He could generate demand for previously unappealing or unknown items. To achieve this, he developed techniques that aim to tap into our subconscious desires and establish an emotional connection between a product and its consumer. In essence, he artificially created a need for certain products by exploiting our emotions. Consequently, because of America's cunning ways, we have witnessed decades of overconsumption. Bernays, often hailed as the pioneer of public relations, published his influential masterpiece Propaganda in 1928. In this groundbreaking and dystopian work, he plumbed the depths of human minds, emphasizing that public relations should not be diminished as a mere trick, but rather recognized as an essential tool for controlling the purchasing behaviors of the masses. Quote, "The conscious and intelligent manipulation of the organized habits and opinions of the masses," he wrote, "is an important element in democratic society. Those who manipulate this unseen mechanism of society constitute an invisible government which is the true ruling power of our country." Like Freud, he believed that, quote, "We are governed, our minds are molded, our tastes formed and our ideas suggested, largely by men we have never heard of. It is they who pull the wires that control the public mind." And after witnessing the remarkable effectiveness of propaganda in previous wars, Bernays pondered over its potential usefulness in times of peace. However, due to the negative associations that propaganda has garnered, Bernays advocated for the term public relations. In other words, modern-day PR is simply a glorified version of wartime propaganda. Drawing on the insights of his colorful uncle, Bernays developed an approach he dubbed the engineering of consent. In short, the guru provided influential clients, including General Electric, Procter & Gamble, the American Tobacco Company, and the media giant CBS, with the tools to, quote, "control and regiment the masses according to our will without their knowing about it." To do so, he said it was necessary to circumvent the rational part of the mind and go straight for the jugular, in this case, the unconscious. A century ago, it was customary for Americans to have a light breakfast consisting of coffee, a slice of bread, and maybe some cereal. However, Bernays decided to explore the idea of a heartier morning meal, ostensibly for better health. Seeking professional advice, Bernays consulted the agency's doctor, who confirmed that starting the day with a more substantial meal would provide individuals with increased energy. Shortly after, Bernays requested the doctor reach out to 5,000 fellow doctors and inquire about their stance on the matter. And surprisingly, over 4,500 doctors responded affirmatively, agreeing with the idea of a heavier breakfast for improved health. Armed with this overwhelming response, Bernays seized the opportunity to craft a compelling narrative. The newspaper headlines soon proclaimed, "4,500 physicians advocate for Americans to embrace substantial breakfast to enhance their well-being." Many of these articles highlighted bacon and eggs as the quintessential components of a real American morning meal. Bernays also applied Freudian psychology to instant cake mix. Yes, cake mix. During World War II, this formula was created to simplify the process of cooking or baking food. By simply adding water to the dry ingredients mix and heating it up, you can make food in no time, but housewives for some reason weren't buying it. They resisted purchasing the mix. So Bernays realized that when housewives simply added water to the mix, they felt a sense of guilt deep within their subconscious. Why? Because they felt they contributed very little to the process. Building upon this revelation, the recipe was then altered to include a couple of eggs, and the inclusion worked as planned. According to Freudian psychology, the woman's act of offering her eggs to her husband should be seen as an unconscious gift. This gesture not only eliminates guilt, but also holds a deeper significance. In Freudian theory, the egg symbolizes life and birth, adding a profound meaning to the creation of the cake. In this way, the housewife metaphorically gives birth to something special for her husband. And Bernays' impact on how we view and consume items simply can't be overstated, and this fact was not lost on John Carpenter. And They Live provides us with an answer to this whole situation, albeit a deeply unsettling one. Nada, Piper's character's name, is Spanish for nothing. In the eyes of the elite, which includes corporate executives, marketing magnates and politicians, we are, as Nada's name suggests, nothing. Why concern yourself with ethical dilemmas when your target audience, which consists of billions of people, are deemed insignificant objects, meat suits who deserve to be manipulated, molded, and mercilessly exploited?
That's exactly it. They want to dehumanize everyone, and by dividing people into various little groups, left and right, and guy and girl, and black and white, any way that they can divide people and make it easier for them to control the groups overall, they're going to implement.
Nada is a representation of the everyday citizen. For many of us, however, the truth is too painful to confront. For many, ignorance is synonymous with bliss. So Nada urges Frank, his friend, to wear the sunglasses in order for him to see the ways things really are. However, Frank, obviously aware of the brutal realities that await him if he accepts the request, actually refuses to wear the glasses.
Put them on.
With a family to support, Frank says he couldn't bear the harsh reality of knowing his entire life is just a lie. Nada, however, is having none of it. After a rather surreal fight scene that lasts several minutes, Nada forces the sunglasses onto Frank's face.
Look at them, they're everywhere!
Is that what we really have to do, though, is force people's eyes open in some way? Because it does seem like a lot of people are, even if they were aware of how crazy things were, they don't want to know. They want to remain oblivious to it for various reasons. You know, you got responsibilities to worry about. You can't be spending all your time towards worrying about how crazy shit is. But I guess that's the whole system, is they have people so wrapped up in their own worries and lives and adulting in general that they can't really focus on the system at large that is controlling us.
Maybe they can see Valley 5th and Spring.
And from that moment on, Frank's life changes forever. Now, Carpenter's sunglasses idea turns the script on its head. His commenter here calls to remove our rose-tinted glasses in order to see things in an objective manner. Carpenter, however, makes the case that what we perceive as objective truth is in fact a carefully curated simulation. We are, as the movie suggests, cogs in a forever turning wheel. Resources who are being mined financially, psychologically, and spiritually. But we can only realize this fact by donning the glasses, not taking them off. So Nada and Frank then join forces with a group of individuals who have also experienced the effects of the sunglasses. There they form an underground resistance movement. Through a series of intense, violent confrontations, they successfully infiltrate the secret gathering place of the extraterrestrial elites. Their bravery is, in the end, rewarded, but it requires sacrifice and huge amounts of pain, and a willingness to accept some cold, harsh reality. At its core, They Live is a film about the eternal struggle for individuality, autonomy, and the noble pursuit of truth. And Carpenter encourages each and every viewer to question the overarching narrative that permeates their life, and to ask loudly and unapologetically if they are being influenced by ominous external forces. But it's important to note that this masterpiece was inspired by 8 o'clock in the morning, a short story written 60 years ago. You see, when we think of dystopian fiction, our minds usually go to 1984, but Ray Nelson's tale, which inspired Carpenter, who would later inspire the makers of The Matrix, is perhaps the most important and most overlooked short story of the 20th century. The plot surrounds George Nada, an apparently ordinary, rather unremarkable individual who finds himself in a situation where he becomes aware of a conspiracy orchestrated by extraterrestrial beings. These aliens possess the ability to manipulate reality and utilize the media as a means to subdue and dominate the human race. Which sounds awfully relevant, doesn't it? George's awakening then occurs after an experience with a hypnotist that takes a weird turn, with the protagonist now possessing the ability to perceive non-human faces, known as fascinators, scattered throughout society. However, George, the only truly awakened civilian in existence, quickly realizes that if he displays any indication of his awareness, the fascinators will instantly order him to revert to his previous state, or worse, end his life. In essence and in structure, Nelson's tale reflects Carpenter's adaptation. A man named Nada, an average Joe, discovers that the world we perceive is not what it seems, that the buildings, posters, television shows, architecture, advertisements, and even the people before us are just simply a facade, a veil of normalcy concealing the truth. That a race of multi-eyed snake creatures not only control the earth, but also our very thoughts and impulses. The aforementioned obey, consume, yield, etc. seems exactly the same as what's happening today with companies like BlackRock, investing into every single company that you know and controlling the message they espouse. I mean, there's a reason all companies, all advertisements, all governments seem to share the same narrative, and everyone around you probably does too. And in They Live, once he comprehends that these creatures hypnotize humanity into complacency in order to literally consume them, he then sets out to put an end to this long-standing occupation. He realizes that television is the fascinator's primary weapon, and after dispatching the creature in front of the cameras, he leaves the corpse in his chair, stands off camera, mimics the fascinator, and urges people to wake up and kill the creatures on sight. But today, as TV loses its cachet, social media platforms should be viewed as the fascinator's weapon of choice. From an early age, children are handed digital devices and social media accounts, quickly becoming iPad kids, entering worlds where they're bombarded with dangerously high amounts of advertisements and questionable ideologies. From as soon as they're born, they are influenced by the worst among us, and once they hop onto the digitally powered treadmill, they never get off. They are consumers or slaves for life. In certain aspects, Nelson's no-nonsense storytelling technique proves advantageous to the narrative here. Its ultimate objective is to utilize science fiction and adventure as a subversive tool, effectively addressing the numbing impact of American culture on its people. It has been hijacked. At the time of They Live's release, Carpenter only expressed his dissatisfaction with the economic policies of then US President Ronald Reagan, commonly known as Reaganomics, as well as the increasing commercialization in popular culture and politics during that time. Carpenter actually stated that the premise of the movie involved the so-called Reagan Revolution being controlled by aliens from another galaxy. These extraterrestrial beings insisted Carpenter taking over the world and were exploiting Earth as if it were a third world planet. Carpenter wearily observed that everything we saw in television was designed to sell us something, from fast food to fast cars. The messages relayed to us emphasized the significance of consumerism, and today it's only so much worse. Every influencer you see today is showing off their new rich lifestyle. People with the newest Bugattis, the best suits, the Rolexes, living in Dubai, in luxury penthouses. And these are supposed to be our saviors from the other side of the spectrum.
He's not even going into how social media only encourages and incentivizes nuisance and, in general, stupid acts and behavior for that ever so juicy social media money. While I love YouTube and various social medias, I think it's pretty undeniable that the damage it's caused is almost unreversible at this point.
Established corporations and governments that espouse the same nonsense opinions to control the population. That's why They Live is more relevant than ever today. In 2012, the philosopher Slavoj Žižek released The Pervert's Guide to Ideology, a documentary film that begins by analyzing They Live. In this analysis, Žižek utilizes the film's portrayal of special sunglasses that unveil the truth to elucidate his own interpretation of ideology. According to Žižek, the sunglasses serve as a form of criticism towards ideology. They enable individuals to perceive the genuine message concealed beneath the layers of propaganda, glamour, and posters. And by donning these sunglasses, one becomes aware of the presence of a hidden order within democracy, which upholds the illusion of freedom. Žižek, in his own unique, rather frantic style, passionately implores viewers to take Carpenter's advice. And it makes sense here, because today, as we go into 2024, we are living in extremely strange times, in which the gap between the haves and have-nots continues to widen, where we are constantly bombarded with false idols, false messaging, and subliminal propaganda disguised as friendly advertisements. If ideologies are systems of socially shared ideas, beliefs, and values used to justify certain behaviors, then we have to ask, where did they begin, and who is dictating which ideologies are both acceptable and unacceptable to us? Who is determining the truth in modern society? And to answer this question, one must first reach for the glasses. Carpenter knew this, and now you do too. Your desires and programming is for someone else's benefit. The fact that you don't know the truth is the way it's supposed to be. You think what you think because you have been conditioned, often via subliminal messages, to think this way. But as They Live shows, there is a way out, and you have to break free before it's too late.
So unfortunately, it's not nearly as easy for us to just throw on a pair of magic sunglasses and all of a sudden we see the program, we see the matrix, we see what's going on around us. We really have to put in the hard work to kind of read between the lines and use a sense of earned discernment to navigate through the bullshit, essentially, because that's another thing that comes along with social media is swamps and swamps full of bullshit, propaganda, manipulation, advertisements, and in general debauchery that really brain rot, essentially. There's so much negative that comes along with it. If you're watching this channel, of course, you're well aware of all the crazy shit all around us. Next up, we have another classic from the older conspiracy video days. You may have seen this creator if you're an old head like me. He's been around for quite a while. This one here is actually among his popular ones, all about Project Bluebeam, the fake invasion, the fake alien invasion that's supposed to be coming our way, and who knows what kind of technologies we'll be seeing, but there'll be some crazy thing that appears then is supposed to incite fear and who knows what else. This is one of his more popular videos, so we're going to watch this one together.
It's time to take a look at more of the madness that is going on around the world. Project Bluebeam. Now, this is not just about holographic imaging, folks. This is about a fully orchestrated, long-term charade, leading to the ultimate New World Order agenda, a one-world government.
Perhaps we need some outside universal threat. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world. And yet, I ask you, is not an alien force already among us?
That speech of Reagan is so powerful and, dare I say, incriminating. It definitely says a lot while still hiding under the pretense of being innocent and having a scapegoat to latch onto. Definitely one of my more favorite speeches that we've been able to record throughout history.
What could be more alien to the universal aspirations of our peoples than war and the threat of war?
And that is what this is all about. A great deception. A means to confuse, fool, and cause panic among the masses. To destroy old beliefs and bring in new religion. To expand military and power. All for the sake of holding on to what the powers that be value the most. Control. And the expansion of an empire. We already know that the people who run the governments around the world lie to us on a regular basis. And many people live out their entire lives and go to the grave believing some of these lies. For example, now pay attention because this is important. If you investigate the temperature of our sun, you will find a broad range of various numbers, from thousands of degrees Fahrenheit to millions of degrees Fahrenheit. We have been led to the understanding that the sun is indeed a giant hot sphere of burning gases. And that, my friends, is a lie. The sun is not hot. It is light energy. It is the earth and its atmosphere that creates the heat. Go to one of the hottest places on earth, get in a hot air balloon, and float towards the sun. It doesn't get hotter, it gets colder. Much, much colder. In fact, in space, it's hundreds of degrees below zero. You've seen footage of a giant ball of fire. Well, can anyone explain to me how fire burns in a vacuum? The media always shows us things exploding in space, the same way they explode here on the surface into a display of fireworks. And that's just not how it works. Now, knowing this changes a few things about the possibilities of our sun, the stars, and our universe. Think about this, and this is hidden in plain sight, folks. With all the ancient documentation of beings traveling across the stars into our solar system, with all of the great ancient structures thought to be stargates, what do the stars have anything to do with traveling through space and time in other dimensions? Is it because the sun and the stars are gateways themselves? And the perfect way to get you to leave this possibility alone is to get you to believe that the sun and the stars are too hot and no one can go near them. And it's not like you can go see for yourself anyways. So we collectively accept that idea as truth and live with it. Look at the scumbags at NASA. They run nothing more than a very expensive movie studio, and their productions cost billions of dollars. We've all seen Hollywood films that cost as much as around $300 million to produce. Imagine a movie that cost billions. you could probably imagine that not only would the movie be visually jaw-dropping, but it would be very long and very interactive. I wonder what the movie would be about. Maybe it would be about the same thing that every other third movie that's released is about. An alien invasion of some sort. But that's what NASA is all about. Fakery. It is a public front for what the true space program is. The design of the space shuttles we see being used by NASA today are as old as dirt. In the true space program, it is far more advanced by many years.
Comparing the two major conspiracies when it comes to this whole thing of space, whether it's one end of the spectrum where space is fake and the other end of the spectrum where space is real, but we are holding back technology and there's a secret space program that has hidden existence within us. And I think the latter seems more appealing to me, but either way, I'm okay with it because it suddenly gives meaning to everything.
How to use anti-gravity and build UFOs. They have the advanced laser weaponry. They know how to use levitation to suck you up in the sky coming out of your front door. They know how to create solid-looking 3D holographic images that you can touch with sound. They have the technology to use frequencies to implant replicated thoughts, because all words and thoughts have a frequency, and they can transmit this frequency to you. This has been proven. With that said, yes, it is very possible to fake an alien invasion on a global scale. Now, keep in mind that the idea of aliens has been around since the beginning. Thousands of years of human history. We are way past the point of disclosure, folks. And because so many people already believe that the aliens and UFOs are real, it's easy to fool them with fake ones. They have already practiced doing this. Not every UFO is from another world, not every creature seen is from another planet, and not every image seen in the sky is natural. So yes, they can do this. The question is why? Which brings us to the Great Deception. And this is basically how it works. They create the illusion that alien craft have entered our atmosphere using sophisticated holographic imaging over the major cities of the world. They then simulate UFO landings using man-made anti-gravity craft that they already have. They also simulate the alien beings using advanced robotics and Hollywood magic. Next comes the mass kidnapping of many people around the world to simulate alien abductions. They will use weapons on people that most have never seen before or even heard of. This will cause mass panic and uprising. In the midst of all this, they are hoping that many will abandon their religious beliefs and bow down to a new savior. They want to introduce a false messiah. All of this would take place in a span of several years, mind you.
Who's the false messiah then? Who's your bet on? Because there are a number of different likely candidates. Who is the false messiah gonna be?
Their intent is to form a new religion, adopting many of the satanic ritualistic practices of the past, making them commonplace. Like a virus, it would eventually consume us to the point of a one-world religion and government. Not just to become a standalone empire, but to become the capital of an intergalactic empire. Now, this is a Nazi idea, one of Hitler's plans for global domination, and I admit, it's a little hard to swallow. But, if you did want to organize a new world order very quickly, then that would be one way to do it. And from what I understand, the powers that be are way behind schedule. The problems that they are having right now is that in order to pull this off, they have to make sure that they dot all the I's and cross all the T's. All while their efforts are being constantly sabotaged by people and other beings. That's why these bastards at CERN can't get anything done, in spite of all the madness they have hidden below the collider. Honestly, I've grown weary of these people in power and sick of their draconian mentality. We've got some rough times ahead of us, ladies and gentlemen. Things are going to get worse, and we will have to endure some hardships for a period of time. But this will all end in the liberation of good people. And the evil ones will fall, once again. And they will know, you and I will confidently know, who the true God really is.
Project Bluebeam, or Operation Bluebeam, is one of my favorite conspiracies and premises for a concept for what may or may not happen. It's really cool to theorize and speculate because we've already seen a lot of futuristic technologies, especially recently, becoming implemented. So if we are fortunate enough to see something like this occur, that would be an interesting thing, you know, bring the movie to real life. So next up, I have another interesting video that came across my radar. We've all seen the videos of the celebrities that have what look to be some sort of glitch, whether it's, you know, something simple or a complete shutdown of some kind. Of course, there are cases of just people being overwhelmed, especially being in the limelight and being, you know, a famous figure. But some of these really make me question it. Is this something different? Is this an MK Ultra situation? Let's take a look at these together.
Emotions and business aside, you have to separate the two, and you don't know how to do that. So that's where I come in, and I keep your emotions, and I deal with your emotions over here. But when it comes time for business, I implement what you told me on the emotion side into handling it in a professional manner, because sometimes it's hard for you to be professional.
Possible, but it is going to bother you because you're human, and I was human. I am human still. But I was just referring to myself in the past. Not that I was not human.
Interesting slip.
And I was human. I am human.
Interesting slip.
But
Even she's.
But I was just referring to myself in the past. Not that I was not human.
This privacy thing, and I thought that was a fascinating answer.
It's okay. You want to take off the hoodie?
You know, I never take off the hoodie.
I know you don't. What's with that? There's a group of women in the audience that wish you would. And...
No.
Girls?
Whoa.
Whoa.
All right.
Sorry. Yeah, that's okay.
Can you explain what this instant personalization thing was that you did, and why you did it, and what's the value of it to your users?
Maybe I should take off the hoodie.
Take off the hoodie.
Go ahead.
You want to? You want? Go ahead.
So I do find the sudden the sudden change of mind fairly strange.
You all right?
Almost like
This is a great moment in internet history.
Hey, Zuck.
What?
Go ahead and take the hoodie off. Yeah, take the hoodie off.
What are we going to do with the mic?
Put it on your...
All right.
Put it on the collar of your T-shirt. Do you want?
You need some help?
No, I'm good.
All right. Okay. Mark?
Sorry about the.
Sorry about being warm, Mark.
No, it's...
We're not even yelling at you.
Yeah.
Yet.
We're not going to yell at it.
No, of course not. That is a warm hoodie.
Yeah, no, it's a thick hoodie. It's a company hoodie. We print our mission on the inside.
What?
Oh, really?
My God, the inside of the hoodie, everybody. Take a moment. What is it? Making the
world more open and connected.
Oh my God, it's like a secret
Cool.
cult.
Why would she say that?
Look at that. Making the world open and connected. Stream graph platform, and this weird symbol in the middle that is probably for the Illuminati.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, 2010.
No, it's 2010.
Okay. Oh no. This weird symbol in the middle that is probably for the Illuminati. Oh my God, it's like a secret cult.
Of our show, we were very empathetic about what happened and very sort of horrified. And so we were wondering, how is everyone going and how's Kim doing?
What? Okay.
I'm sorry, is there someone talking to you?
Yes, sorry.
Sorry about that. So I just was wondering how everyone's doing.
That is weird.
Hello, Courtney, have we lost you?
What is that?
Bad news for the Obama administration. We have this new CNN ORC poll, which is quite a turnaround in.
Whoa.
Well, a very, very heavy debatation tonight. We had a very Darrison, but let's go to Terry's and look for the head of the pit.
Whoa. She just progressively lost control here.
The pit.
What was that about?
Yeah, watch the drill there.
Yeah, it's a difficult title. It's a good day to die.
But I suppose it's because you had kind of a good day, and if you would have died, well, so be it. Is that it?
That's right. That's a good explanation. Have a sandwich, and let's go shopping. Die Hard.
That would have been in your chosen title.
Well, it's about it makes about as much sense. A good, or maybe there is a good day to die hard.
Yeah. I'll tell you what.
You've had a rough year. You've had a year that would test a lot of people. Mm-hmm. Illness in the family. Mm-hmm. A breakup. This spasm of publicity about what happened from Mexico to London.
It was pretty rough. Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of weird. Ah, weird. Hello.
What?
Oh my goodness. Hello. Ew. Strong Brittany. Yeah, it was a weird.
She's seeing shit?
Ew. I'm embarrassed. Can we stop?
What? Oh, yeah. This one is weird.
Exactly how you have to have a certain amount of distance between the bodies in your high.
Yes, like they say in Catholic school, leave room for the Holy Ghost. Anyway, there is a lot of memories today, actually. It's a big day in music history.
35 years ago today, Elvis Presley passed away, the king of rock and roll. And as Mark Cohn says in his great song, Walking in Memphis, there's a pretty little thing waiting for the king down in the...
The only thing I can think of at that point is every once in a while, and this hasn't happened since like school for me, because I haven't really had much of a chance to do it, but when I'll just be in the middle of hearing a lecture or something, and I just zone out. Like I'll just... just casually, I'm staring about something, my mind is elsewhere, and I zone out. But I think I would have the wherewithal to avoid that on live TV like that. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that one?
What a pleasure for Herbie and me to introduce Marshall Mathers. Some of you may know him as Eminem, but he's going to join the Saturday night crew with our music intro starting next Saturday night. But folks, I want to take you to the world premiere of one of his new videos called Berserk. Take a listen. It's headed for the top of the charts. Was that the great Rick Rubin who was helping produce that with you, Marshall, when you did that?
Yeah, sorry. Live TV. Live TV freaks me out a little bit.
No.
Yes, I'm sorry. What was the question? But it's been a heck of a ride, to be honest. I really can't complain. Yeah, I was I was a little down when I found out I was injured and I had to have surgery again.
Okay, that's
with another knee. But at the end of the day, I have amazing teammates. Guys like Draymond, everybody on this team, they come over there, they wrap their hands around me like, yo.
With the Kumo, oh man, Tony Snell inside. Watch there at the top of your screen over here, saying Jason Terry. And meanwhile, the Cavaliers give up 2. Wow.
Is professional sports scripted? All of it?
Can you take us through what happened with the play with Jason Terry?
What play?
You ran off the court and hugged him and
really? I was
gave it the layup.
I didn't remember that.
You know they were inbound to the ball?
What play you talking about?
In the first half, you ran off the court and hugged Jason Terry, and Snell got a layup. Because you're off the floor.
Oh, I didn't know I was in the game. My bad.
What's with the ski mask?
Kind of, it's my alter ego. So I just, you know, it was a gift from Ohio State, so I figure why not.
Does your alter ego have a name?
Yeah.
What is it?
I can't tell you.
Okay.
It was a wonderful, meaningful endorsement in every way, and I was very proud of it.
Did you talk about vice presidential possibilities with Senator Warren?
You guys have got to try the cold chai.
Okay, that honestly creeps me out a little bit.
You guys have got to try the cold chai.
Whoa. Yeah, even she's saying, what is that about?
Did you talk about vice presidential possibilities with Senator Warren?
You guys have got to try the cold chai.
I've had it.
So she's trying to be funny. Some of their sense of humor is off.
This is a video of Hillary Clinton fainting in 2012, where she suffered a concussion.
Just please respect him. Okay. Please.
Sorry,
please
guys.
don't. This is.
The agents have requested for this to stay in your seats.
I've seen that one before, and I wasn't sure what that was from. I don't know. It's pretty wild how many moments Hillary has where you're questioning what the hell is going on.
In covertly recorded off-air transmissions from the Bush-Clinton presidential election campaign in the 1990s, we can see that Bill Clinton was nothing more than a puppet to the puppet masters which placed him in the White House. Bill Clinton's demeanor seems to be similar to a person who is under a hypnotic trance.
All right, let's say this person is under a heavy amount of stress and just genuinely is just relaxing. That doesn't seem very relaxing. That seems almost structured and rigid to where it would require effort to be that rigid and not, desiring to kind of relax and, extend, let loose your muscles and your limbs. That seems the opposite of what you would presumably want to feel if you were stressed out and tired and wanting to just relax a little bit. Maybe he's mentally preparing for something? I don't know. This one's strange for me, too. This one's really strange.
Remember that every single man, woman, and child in the state of South Carolina awakens to a freer, safer world because of George Bush. I would remind people that every single morning we all awaken to a safer, freer world because of George Bush. And Nicole, I would remind you and the people of Florence that all of us awaken every single day to a freer, safer world because of George Bush. They themselves awaken every single day to a freer, safer world because of George.
Already celebrated Stranger Things, but this award from you who take your craft seriously and earnestly believe, like me, that great acting can change the world is a call to arms from our fellow craftsmen and women to go deeper and through our art to battle against fear, self-centeredness, and exclusivity of our predominantly narcissistic culture, and through our craft to cultivate a more empathetic and understanding society by revealing intimate truths that serve as a forceful reminder to folks that when they feel broken and afraid and tired, they are not alone. We are united in that we are all human beings.
To me, it looks like she's just mocking him, but maybe not.
Beings, and we are all together on this horrible, painful, joyous, exciting, and mysterious ride that is being alive. Now, as we act in the continuing narrative of Stranger Things, we 1983 Midwesterners will repel bullies. We will shelter freaks.
Mr. Trump, Kanye, what did you guys discuss in your meeting today?
Just friends, and he's a good man. Doing well. Long time. We've been friends for a long time. Life. We discussed it.
In 2020, do you think that's something you still want to do in light of this meeting? Kanye, are you considering performing at the inauguration? Kanye, no comment about your meeting with the president-elect. This is the president.
What are your thoughts here? MK Ultra, glitches, AI, mind control of other kinds, stress? Thoughts here? And last but not least, for today's video, I was suggested a new video that talks about a fellow truth seeker, a fellow creator that we've covered a few of his videos and creations before. He's a very controversial one, but nevertheless, he covers his journey to discovering what he thinks the truth is. So we're going to go ahead and just follow his journey, and maybe I'll delve into a little bit of my own journey on the process.
It's been a minute. A long minute since I've given any sort of personal information out about myself. And well, this comment I got the other day has prompted me to do that again, because I have a lot of new followers since I have really talked about myself. Because I don't like to talk about myself. But Tyler, how do we know you're not really an actor playing a role and you're not part of the psyop? I love and hate this question so much. I love it because I want people to always be questioning things. I want people to be questioning the narrative. I want people to be questioning those that are giving out information. I even want people to be questioning me. But at the same time, I absolutely hate this question, because at the core of who I am, it's just a dude who cares, and a dude who found out he had been lied to his whole life, and that those lies stopped him from believing in God. And I'm just a guy trying to help people see through the lies for the ultimate purpose of finding God, like I did.
So this is super relatable, because I have people suggesting this about me and my other channel all the time, suggesting that I'm some sort of government shill or part of a psyop that's trying to push an agenda. So I can definitely feel this struggle. So this seems really applicable to me at this point. So let's keep going.
But I want to tell you a little bit more about myself. This time last year, I was literally still teaching high school PE. And you can type my name in, Tyler Hansen. I taught at Grayslake North High School for 20 years. And I coached discus, and I coached weightlifting, and I was a strength and conditioning teacher. And like I said, I was literally doing this until this time last year, when...
All right, I'm not sharing that much information with you, though.
I thought I could go into the school system and make a difference. And boy, I found out that was an impossibility, because the indoctrination centers, well, they're locked down tight for truth. But I want to rewind a little further for the moment to 2 years ago. And let me start off by saying my wife and I, we don't have any kids. I'm a dog dad. And this is Tillman. And he was my bestest buddy. And he was getting to the point where I knew he wasn't going to be around forever. And up until that point in my life, I didn't really believe in anything spiritual. I didn't really believe in God.
Yo, is he about to John Wick some people?
I didn't really believe that there was life after death. I didn't believe that I had a soul. I just believed that when we died, and we spent eternity in the ground. And because of that, I used to have fear of dying. And well, I think because I knew Tillman was on his way out, I started questioning everything. I started seeking answers. I started wondering, is there more to this place than what I think? My exploration for truth started in one very specific spot. I started researching near-death experiences. I started watching YouTube videos on them, and I started to really see a pattern on people experiencing the same thing. And my goal was to prove that near-death experiences weren't real. And then I also started going down the alien rabbit hole, because I knew I lived in this infinite galaxy with infinite planets and infinite other star systems, and just the mathematical odds alone meant there had to be life on other planets. And well, as I dug deeper and deeper and deeper, what I ended up proving to myself was that these were very real. And the aliens that I thought were real weren't at all what I actually thought, and something completely different. So as I continued searching for answers, I can only explain this as literal divine intervention. I was directed to look into the stars. And not only the stars, but a specific star, the dog star, Sirius. And what I found there was inexplainable. I couldn't explain it. But the one thing I knew for sure is that stars were not at all what I had been told. And if you remember what I said, I can't explain it other than divine intervention that made me look at the star. And it was calling to me. It was doing things in the sky I had never seen a star do. And at the time, when I was looking at it and when I was exploring it, I didn't even know it was the dog star. It was just one of all the random stars. And it wasn't until after I found what I found in the stars that I found out it was the dog star. And what I found in the stars, this one specifically, was dog images. Every little flicker of that flashing star was a literal different image of a dog. And you can see him here. This is literally Sirius, the dog star. And look, this one's specifically 2 eyes and a nose.
What?
Dogs in the stars. And at the time, I had absolutely no idea what this meant. But what I knew without a shadow of a doubt was that stars, like I said, weren't burning balls of gas quintillion or trillion or quadrillion miles away. They were something very different. And I didn't just see this and believe it. I continued to research and look at anyone else's videos of Sirius that I could find. And over again, I would find real images of dogs in the star, in the dog star. Now, I know it sounds absolutely loony and insane and crazy, and these are just a few of them that I captured when I froze it. And I can only say the only reason I ever found this is also because I spent 20 years as a weightlifting and a shot put and a discus coach that would rewind and fast forward frame by frame to see my athlete be able to move their heel in a slightly different fashion to get them to throw farther or lift more. So I spent 20 years staring at video and breaking it down frame by frame. So when I saw this, you can see here, and some people don't have the vision for it, but here there are literally a dog head here next to another dog head. That's its nose, that's its nose. Here's an elongated head with its nose here and 2 eyes. This one I think is pretty clear. And then up here, this is a nose and 2 eyes and nose, or here are the eyes and its nose, and it's looking up. But regardless of what you think about this, for me, what it did, like I said, is it opened my mind up more to maybe what I have thought about the place that I live my entire life isn't entirely accurate. Here's just another one, literally from that Sirius video. And you can see its little white nose here. This is obviously a real picture, but this was in the star.
I mean,
2 eyes,
I can see it.
And again, another one, I tried to find a picture that looked exactly like what was in the star. And maybe at this point I've completely lost you and you just think I'm an insane person, but you can go do this yourself. Go to a YouTube video of the dog star and see what you find. And well, now that I knew without a shadow...
All right, is this just a complex form of pareidolia or pareidola, that where you see images, particularly faces, but he's seeing dog faces, so maybe this is that?
Without a doubt, stars weren't what I thought. When I came to other theories about Earth and it not being a spinning ball, I didn't have as hard of a time looking further into it as most would, because I already knew they were lying about stars. So if they were lying about stars, they could very easily be lying about this. So now once I heard this alternate theory about Earth, I wasn't going to take anyone's word for it. I was going to figure it out for myself, because at this point, I trusted nothing from no one. So one of the first things I did was I had heard that you could see Chicago. And I lived near Chicago, and you could see it from 60 miles away across Lake Michigan, which shouldn't be possible based on the circumference of the earth that they supposedly know. And well, I went and I took my very own video, and I knew what I was seeing wasn't what they say.
So this to me is kind of smoking gun, if it's true, because I've heard different cases of this where you shouldn't be able to see something, assuming the curve comes in between, or should be theoretically coming in between the vision of two distant objects. So if that's the case, but the thing is, like, at the end of the day, it's all numbers that I'm unable to, or really uninterested in proving. So I'm really just kind of going by what people are saying anyway.
A mirage. And well, once I did all the research and time again, it came back that we weren't moving, that the sky was moving, and that there wasn't any curvature to this place. And eventually what I realized is that that was in the Bible. The Bible aligned with my new vision of where we lived. And once I learned that dragons most certainly existed, and there were giants here that existed, and that also lined up with the Bible, I started to really see the truth in the Bible. And all the nonsense that I was indoctrinated with my whole life, I started to be able to let that go very easily. But now I was on a new mission, because I wanted the people like me, the people who didn't believe in God because they believed in the Big Bang and evolution and the globe and the heliocentric model and all that, that really makes it very challenging to believe that there is God. But I don't believe in God anymore. I was proven God exists scientifically. And while I tried shouting it from the rooftops, telling all my friends and all my family, and no one would listen. So I turned to the internet. And it was about that time that I started posting, because it was just where I had to go for people to listen. And that brings us here to today. A guy who quit his teaching job because he didn't want to be part of the indoctrination centers, who now just tries to bring you truth in every way possible to get you to see through the lies so you can find God like I did. And this wasn't for entertainment purposes.
Right on. Interesting. We all have our own journeys and our own rabbit holes and our own trials and tribulations that we need to experience to make us open our eyes to the craziness that is all around us. Or we could be fortunate enough to be completely oblivious to it all and just go through life on autopilot with our heads in the sand. Hopefully is, as he says, just on a journey of discovery and sharing the truth. I myself struggle to find the truth. I have many beliefs that could be real, but I have a really hard time latching on to, all right, I'm 100% on that. I don't think I'm 100% on anything. Actually, I take that back. The one thing I am 100% certain of is how much I appreciate you for tuning in all the way to the end of the video. I'm going to wrap it up here, guys. Thank you all so much for tuning in. You are appreciated. Be sure to question everything, especially everything I say. Much love all. See you guys next time. Cheers.